technology analyst and president of Technalysis Research. He joins us now live from California. Thanks for being with us. I mean, first, are you surprised at all by just how dramatic, the rise of Zoom has been? Most of us hadn't heard of it just a few months ago, and now it's basically a household name.
It is a household name, and we're seeing that reflected in the number of people using it. And what's interesting about the Zoom numbers, of course, it's a lot of large organizations that are using it, but the biggest growth that they saw was with small and medium businesses, because businesses of all sizes around the world have had to adjust and figure out ways to keep their operations moving. And frankly, thank God for things like Zoom and these other conferencing systems, because they have enabled a lot of businesses to continue functioning in a somewhat normal way. In fact, of course, we've heard plenty of stories of some companies who've actually become more productive. At the same time, there's a lot of Zoom burnout starting to happen. We've all experienced that, whether it with family-related calls or work-related calls, and it's not just Zoom; it's others as well. But Zoom has got the name, and that's being reflected in how the market's been reacting to the stock and to their fantastic earnings.
Right. Okay. I want to talk to you about some of the social implications in a second, but I mean, because we're on the business front right now, did other companies, do you think, kind of drop the ball, so to speak? I mean, because Skype has been around for years, yet it didn't seem to really innovate quickly enough, to stay ahead of the game. I feel like it's almost like what Nokia was to mobile phones, Skype is to video conferencing.
Well, it's an interesting analogy. I mean, look, there's a couple of things. What Zoom did really well is made it very easy to get connected. And they did that two ways. Technically, they made it work. There were a lot of other systems, things like Skype, often had connectivity problems. Audio would drop, video would drop. There's a number of factors that you ran into. Zoom, generally speaking, was fairly seamless, high quality experience. Number two, of course, they offered a free way to get in. So you could get a free account and use that for family calls and a variety of things. So people got used to it. It just worked. And it happened to be the way that then people said, well, hey, if it works for this, I can try it for that. And that's what they've been able to leverage and build upon. They also were the first, for example, to have the ability to record a call easily so that you could go back and view a call, because, of course, not everybody can catch every meeting. And so the ability to do that was also important. So they did all the right things early on, I think, in terms of how to address the basic needs that people had, make the technology work seamlessly, and then deliver, frankly, functionality that people desperately needed.
Let me ask you, though, I mean, just as a business model, do you think the business model is going to work? Because so much of it, as a lot of the internet-based services we use, so much of it is free. Is it going to keep things like Zoom, now that people are used to getting it for free, are they going to be able to stay profitable?
Well, I think they will, because, again, we may not need to record our family calls, but businesses are going to want to record meetings. And so the ability to record and some of those other value added features are what people are paying for. And I don't think that goes away, right? Certainly here in the States, we're unfortunately, we're about to enter the fall, and there's a lot of questions about what happens in terms of the pandemic and how that impacts when people can go back to work. But I think most people are convinced around the world that this notion of doing video conferencing based meetings is going to continue in some way, shape, or form for a very long time, right? It might not be that everybody is doing it from their home. It may be a couple people from the office and a couple people from home. And we've started to see that in certain places, but it's not going to go away. And so I think that's the other perspective.
I said, Bob, quickly, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the social implications here, because it is strange that we're all communicating, over video now rather than in person. And it's kind of the preferred mode because it's safer with the pandemic. What do you think would have happened to the global economy and to all of us, really, if this pandemic had hit 15 to 20 years ago, when things like Zoom was...
No, it's a great question, a great point. I mean, honestly, if this had happened 15 or 20 years ago, we would be in deep trouble, I think, around the world, right? I mean, these tools, these technologies, cloud-based computing, all of these types of things are really allowing us to continue to function. Not everybody, look, if you're doing lab work or something like that, or you have to be in a physical store or, work on a manufacturing line, there's some things you can't simply can't do remotely. But there's a heck of a lot that you can do, especially for information workers and things like that. So it's really been a lifesaver for a lot of people. And I think there is that recognition. And that's why there's been so much attention placed on it. And I think it will continue to be a part of our lives. We do have to figure out how to balance it. Every now and then, it's kind of nice just to have a regular phone call these days, for example.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that I think it's incredibly important, and it's allowed us to do what we're doing now.
Right. Bob, great to have you. Thanks so much for being with us there from Foster City. We appreciate it.